that the bill robs the people of their right to vote. Not one citizen, President, loses a ballot. Every adult Zimbabwean will register, will queue, and will vote in every ward, every constituency, in every province, at every general election, exactly as before. Universal adult suffrage remains intact, Madam President. And fourthly, it is said that the bill is about leadership or succession. Again, Madam President, it is not. There is no clause in this bill that concerns the internal affairs of any political party, and members who state the text for one will say in vain. It is said, fifthly, that the bill abolishes or postpones the nation's elections to some distant and unnamed year. It does not, Madam President. Actually, it says the length of the single national electoral cycle, and that cycle runs its course and ends in an election exactly as has been the case before. And it said, sixthly, that the bill gathers power and the running of our elections into a single pair of hands of the executive, in particular the president. Again, Madam President, it does the opposite. It entrusts the highest office to the people's elected representatives in their parliament, and it places the drawing of boundaries in a dedicated constitutional body built for that single discipline. It is said, secondly, that the bill amends, modifies, or repeals Section 328, the entrenched provision that governs how the Constitution is amended, or that it amends the presidential chamber. Madam President, it does not, and I will show on the face of the text why the charge cannot stand. And it is said, A, that the bill requires a national referendum to proceed without one. But in fact, in the law, Madam President, it requires no referendum. And the reason is supplied by the Constitution itself. Read in the order its own words laid down in very precise and express ways. It is said, 9, there is no constitutional mischief to remedy, that the Parliament's focus and attention should be on implementing the rule of law and what is alleged to be an economic crisis. Madam President, I will show there is constitutional mischief requiring the urgent attention of Parliament as the framer or the maker of law, not its implementer. And lastly, it is said, 10, and most clearly, that the bill is an act of self-dealing by the President and Parliament, who it is claimed to have voted themselves a private benefit by extending their term of office. Madam President, that charge is best in truth, and I will answer it in full, because the charge dressed in the language of the Constitution deserves to be addressed by it. Madam President, those are the claims against the bill. Fairly stated, 4 of them go to the heart of the bill, and I have given them only summary answers here. I will return, Madam President, one by one, and answer them beyond reasonable doubt before I resume my seat. Madam President, no Parliament should amend the supreme law of the land without first being satisfied that there is a real and serious mischief to be cured. A constitution is amended for one or two honorable reasons: to make room for something new that the future requires, or to correct a second arrangement whose consequences were proved unworkable or contrary to the national interest. This bill belongs to the second kind, which corrects a mistake in an electoral cycle, which is not abstract, but is clear and present on the ground. It is the lived experience of this nation across more than 3 decades and it has two roots that feed one another. The first root of the president is the way we elected our president. Honorable senators will recall their own history. At independence, the founders of this nation, the parliament elect the head of state, and the head of government was the leader of the party that commanded the majority in parliament. The direct national contest for the president arrived later in 1987 in anticipation of a legislated one-party state that never was. We adopted, in other words, a method shaped by an expectation that history did not honor, and we lived with the consequences of that method. The second root, Madam President, is the shortness of the national electoral cycle in which we have elected our president and parliament. A 5-year term is a brief and restless thing for a developing nation, emerging from the thrones of colonialism. It is short enough that the first year is swallowed by transition and too often by the litigation of the contest just concluded. And the final years are swallowed by the next election campaign. The window for the actual policy work of building and developing the nation is narrow, and it narrows further with each electoral cycle, particularly in an environment of toxic politics. So is the electoral cycle a sacred and untouchable matter? Honorable senators will recall that under our former Lancaster House Constitution, the term of office of the president was a longer one. It was 6 years. To fuse the election of the president and of parliament into a single national event, parliament shortened its own life by 2 years and brought the president to 5 years to run together with the life of parliament. A harmonization of the president that took effect in the 2008 harmonized election in the vein of containing what was termed the court oral sample. That was done by the ordinary vote without a referendum and without dissent. That 5-year cycle, useful as the harmonization was, has proved too short for the work of building and developing the nation. And so what this bill proposes is the correction of an over-correction. The power that shortened that electoral cycle then is the power that lengthens it now. These two rules that I outlined by the president, the divisive method of electing the president, and the restless electoral cycle within which we have done that, do not stand apart. They reinforce one another to the detriment of the national interest in general and the development of the country in particular. That is the mischief which Parliament has a constitutional duty to remedy. I now turn to how this mischief shows itself, Madam President. The 5 afflictions. Madam President, the mischief that I played there shows itself through 5 afflictions that have gripped our public life since the direct contest for the president began in 1990. They are not 5 separate problems. They are 5 facets of one structural area, and each electoral cycle is deepened. The first, Madam President, is the perennial disputed presidential election. Every contest for the highest office in this nation is held since the turn of the century. 2000, 2002, 2008, 2013, 2018, and 2023 has been trailed by allegations of political violence, allegations of leaking and lack of transparency, in eroding public trust in the result and the standing of the nation in the eyes of those who would invest in it. This is not my characterization at all. It is documented in the election observer reports of the African Union, of SADC, Commonwealth, which have tied this electoral dispute to economic sanctions against our country. And to invest to investment flights estimated by some accounts between 50 and 70 billion United States dollars in opportunities lost across those years. The second is the paralysis of government that a permanent campaign produces. Our short 5 years term traps those in office in a continuous election mode, delaying and derailing the long-term programs a developing nation depends upon. Our national development strategies and our vision 2030 are among them. The Commonwealth and SADC reporting across the years have identified post-election polarization as a major break on development, a trend estimated from some analysis at a further 30 to 40 billion United States dollars on productivity. The third affliction is the corruption that instability brings. Where political survival is in perpetual pressure, accountability weakens, and the conditions in which graft flourishes are removed with every electoral cycle. In 2023, Transparency International estimated that corruption cost Zimbabwe between 1 and 2 billion United States dollars in every year that passes. And local election monitors have documented the predictability spikes in irregular tenders that accompany every poll. The fourth is the politicization of the public service that should be neutral, professional, and continuous. A service disrupted by the turbulence of perpetual contest cannot serve the citizen who simply needs the state to work, and the election results center has put the resulting losses in productivity at some 600 million United States dollars a year. The fifth and last is the polarization of our society. Asked again and again to divide itself against itself with the unrest and the immigration that division carries in its way, a hemorrhage of skill and human capital that the International Organization for Migration counts in billions. 5 afflictions, Mr. President. Not 1, not 2, but 5. Inextricably intertwined and well documented, the cumulative cost to this nation has been estimated conservatively between 150 and 200 billion United States dollars in lost output, productivity, and human capital. And Madam President, we are neither alone in this affliction, nor the first to act against this affliction linked to the direct election of the president. Across our own continent, nations have lived the same instability of the winner-takes-all presidential contest, are now moving to steady their politics by the very root this bill takes. And I will give examples. In September 2025, Guinea lengthened the term of office for 5 years to 7 and added the upper chamber to its parliament. The very reforms that lie before this honorable house in South Africa. What has afflicted Guinea has afflicted us. And what Guinea has done, a growing number of other African states are beginning to do, lengthening the electoral cycle so that the government has room to work and broadening the foundation on which the highest office rests. Zimbabwe, Madam President, is not an outlier in this. It is instead a continent learning the same lesson from the same hard post-colonial experience. Now there are those who say that none of this calls for an amendment to the Constitution at all. That the answer is simply for good people to hold office and simply to observe the rule of law. With respect, Madam President, that is the wish, not an answer. Where the law itself is sound and only the conduct is wanting, the remedy is to demand better conduct and better law enforcement. But where it is the law that produces the mischief, where the very rules by which we elect the highest office generate the instability we deploy, then to ask only for better behavior is to keep doing the same thing and to hope against the experience and personality for a different result. Madam President, the structural element is fueled by changing the structure that produces it. That is the way of lawmaking. This bill is a proper example of that way. And it is the way of this honorable house. And there is a related deflection I must admit here, Madam President, because it was pressed with feeling. Some, including honorable members of parliament, have said that the country's real problems are jobs and the price of bread and the state of our hospitals, our roads and our schools, and that this bill builds none of this. Indeed, Madam President, hardship is real, and it weighs on this government day. But the argument rests on a confusion about what a constitution is for. A constitution, Madam President, is the foundation, not the roof. It comes before jobs, hospitals, schools, and roads, as the frame within which that work is done, setting how power is acquired, held, and how it is limited, and how it passes from one end to another in peace. To follow the Constitution for not knowing the right of bread is to confound the foundation with the roof. And the question recoils upon those who ask it, because the bread they speak of is milled infections that need a stable and united country to run. And it is precisely that stability this bill exists to build. Madam President, this honorable house makes the law. It is for the government to implement the law and for the courts to interpret the law. And Parliament does not usurp those roles by pretending that a bill amending the Constitution is a program of public works. We do our own work, which is to find the law where there is a lacuna to fill or mischief to cure. Madam President, I now turn to the bill as it comes. Yes, now comes the amended version. The bill before this honorable house, Madam President, is not the bill that was gazetted in February. It is a bill that has been refined by the National Assembly. It carries the amended form for the bill the gazetted bill sets out 22 clauses. The amended version before Senate now carries 25. The bill is gone by the President, and it has gone by this means. It listened first on the two questions that drew the broadest concern from every corner of the National Assembly, from members who backed the bill as readily as those more costly. The clause that would therefore avoid institution tried to better oversight was set aside so that the institution remains in place. And the clause that would report at the standing of our traditional leaders in political life was likewise set aside and the present position these were the most widely contested institutional matters in the whole debate, and the government, guided by the recommendation of the Joint Committee and the voice of the National Assembly, did not question. It listened, Madam President. Listened second on the function of the defense forces. A concern was raised that the founding description of the defense forces appeared to loosen their duty to uphold the Constitution. The amended bill reenacts that provision so that the duty to uphold the Constitution stands on the face of the text, expressed in harmony with the rest of the constitutional architecture of the security sector. The concern was met and met in the text itself. And the bill was strengthened, thirdly, by a body of refinement at the committee stage, a clear ordering of the leadership of our upper course and the procedure for appointing our judges, a measure of representation at local authority level, reserving seats for women and for the youth, and an alignment of the terms of our Chiefs Council to the new national electoral cycle, so that no part of our electoral calendar is left out of step with the rest. The core of the bill, Madam President, came through all of this process unchecked. What has been amended was a concession where the people asked for it, and by tightening where the text required it. That is what consultation, Madam President, is all about. I'll take to the next issue, Madam President. The bill is the cure of the mischief. Madam President, having named the mischief, let me show how the bill cures it. For the cure lies in the core of the bill, and the core is compact, deliberate, and coherent. At its heart, this bill does two things, and the clauses that do them should be read together, because they are a single response or a package to a single element. The bill reforms first the manner in which we choose our highest office, so that the president is elected by the people through their parliament. The chamber of the people themselves elect, and to which the president so chosen remains continuously answerable. This does not remove the people's voice. It carries the voice by a steadier and non-toxic road. For too long, Madam President, the direct contest for the president has been framed as a winner takes all event, in which the victory of one side means the total exclusion of the other. And that framing builds the very toxic division and paralysis we deplore. To draw the choice of president into the people's parliament is to reward consensus building and the commanding of broad support across national elections, and to make the highest office answerable not once in several years, but continuously through the confidence of the people's representatives. This is the settled practice of the best governed constitutional democracies of our own region and beyond. And it is the practice this nation itself followed in the early years of its independence. It reforms, secondly, the length of the national electoral cycle, so that the term of office of the president the lifespan of Parliament ran together for 7 years rather than 5, giving the people's government the time to plan, to build, to develop, and to be judged on what it has delivered, rather than the time only to be elected and then immediately to prepare to be elected, to be re-elected. This is the medicine for the restlessness that is crowding out the way of government. Madam President, this is what lawmaking is. When the structure is the element, the cure is a better structure. And the core of this bill is exactly that, Madam President. I now come to support amendment. Madam President, I also that court sends a body of supporting amendment whose purpose is to clean and to tighten the wider machinery of our government so that our core reforms sit within a coherent national framework rather than against a patchwork. These are: 1. Measures that consolidate the registration of voters where the civil registry already lives, while leaving the conduct and supervision of every election and every referendum, as well as accreditation of election observers within the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Secondly, measures that entrench the dedicated body to draw our electoral and administrative boundaries as a full-time discipline rather than a part-time venture. Thirdly, measures that restructure the leadership of our apex courts and refine the appointment of our judges. Fourthly, measures that align the duration of every elected public office, our chiefs included, to the new national electoral cycle. And fifthly, measures that tidy up the text on the institutions whose constitutional term have already run their course. Madam President, I will speak to each of these in its place when this honorable House examines the bill clause by clause. For the present, it is enough to say that these are the supporting works that allow the core reforms to stand: alignment, consolidating, and tightening in the service of one coherent constitutional framework. Madam President, allow me to take the 4 critical issues. Madam President, I come now to the 4 critical issues on which the debate on the bill is thus far 10. The issues I promised this honorable House at the beginning of my presentation that I can answer beyond reasonable doubt. By the intensity with which they were placed, the 4 hardest argued criticism of this bill are: 1. The charge of unconstitutional term extension for the President and members of Parliament. Secondly, the meaning of the non-obstant phrase under clause 4 regarding the continuation in office of the President, and under clause 9 with respect to the continuation in office of members of Parliament. Thirdly, the charge of self-dealing by the President and members of Parliament. And lastly, the demand for the referendum. I now take each one in that order, and I respectfully request the honorable senators for their close attention, because here the argument requires a little law, or I will keep the law in plain speech as a matter that every senator and every citizen can follow. Firstly, there is the charge of term extension. Madam President, everything here turns on a distinction the Constitution itself draws with great care, and which the critics have collapsed.